Okay, welcome everyone to the June SAP call. Apologies for shifting the day, Tuesday. I was abroad in Jeddah, so it was not possible to do it. So I'm glad to be back here with you. Sending apologies from Robin. It's a bit late in Singapore. So today what I wanted to do is really have more discussion in breakout rooms, looking at a couple of points and learning from each other on what is going on around strategy implementation. So I think the world is changing so fast that things are happening and we're not aware. So small agenda today. Basically spending most of the hour on discussions. This monthly meeting, just a reminder, is to discuss topics, and once in a while we have speakers like Joe or anybody who wants to volunteer. I know Shona has volunteered too, so we'll do that with a bit more time, but the idea is to have this really it's a lessons learned networking event, right? And giving you a bit of an update on the latest developments. In terms of the Institute, we keep growing steady. We have 103 SAP professionals already, 83% success rate, and we keep growing. We're having good discussions with big companies as well for training few hundred of their people in strategy implementation, what you've done, but more at corporate level, learning and education. The teams are looking into this slowly. I think this is picking up. The good thing about this course is that there's very few things similar. You have MBAs, and then you have the whole range of courses around certification on project program, portfolio, benefits, agile, Scrum, but so far there's really nothing except Brightline from PMI, but that's more on the transformations, is one level below. I would not see them as competitors, just complementary. So I think that's really good. We're still focusing on a very niche area, and so glad to see so many of you going through this training and talking well about it, which is the most important thing for us. Let me go to the next slide. So you know that there's content regularly update. If you see any material that we should consider to include for the course or to share with the members, you'll find that there. Always refreshing. You saw that the last time we update the course and we put the content there, a lot on digital, of course, a lot of sustainability and diversity. So the key topics that we see around, then it should be, of course, covered. Diversity is a key one. So this is basically the progress that we're doing and that we want to keep doing, to keep the material and the information as accurate as possible. We're also interested if you have published anything lately to discuss it and share it. So if you want this community to have a look, please let us know, and we'll have also discussion around that. What else? The fellowship program, you know, this is just for those who want to keep growing, developing. That's available. We had 2 cases, two members who are going through that. And again, the outcomes is presented to this team. And now we're going back to clear, just the key of today's interaction, discussion, networking. So I like to go straight to breakout rooms, and there's 2 topics I like to cover. We launched this poll last month, and how do you rate your organization performance implementing strategy? Good, neutral, bad, and I was surprised that only 30% say that they're good and the rest is neutral or bad. It's just, yes, kind of worrying, right? Just 30% doing right the strategy. It's kind of scary. So I thought it would be good to have a bit of a discussion in small groups to see what you've seen. Have you seen any new developments in strategy implementation? Any examples that you've seen? Wow, this is really the way to do it. Or at least give your impressions on this core as well. What you see, how come we're still struggling? There's a lot of articles, HBR on strategy, execution, implementation, and yet we keep not doing very well. So if that's okay with you, I'll start with this poll first, this discussion. I'll put you in breakout rooms so that we all can participate and share. Let me quickly see how many we are, 22 in the end, so that's good. Good group. Hi to all that join a bit later. Olga, Jite, Mugmajo, Hossam, good to see you. It's great to connect again. So I'll go straight to the breakout rooms. I'll put about 10 minutes and see what have you seen latest in strategy implementation that works or that's new and exciting, any examples, or just your own perspective on why the failure continues to be so high. Okay, we'll do that. I'm going to pause the recording and in 10 minutes, we're back. Hey, welcome back. Let me, I look forward to hear what you discuss. Let me just mute all so that we are a bit more. Okay, welcome back. Let's have a quick round through the different groups. What did you discuss? Hopefully we found out the magic formula. So I was talking to Chris. Chris, you want to go first with your Randall and Wayne or somebody in that group?
Chris, you're on mute.
Yeah, mute.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, even though I accidentally left a minute early, I think we were starting a good discussion around the notion that we've got strategy execution that is still a challenge, but also that there is a growing awareness that we need to factor uncertainty into our strategy and into our execution, I would add, and that the role of scenario planning in managing uncertainty is picking up substantially.
Anything to add, the others from the group?
I was just going to add that it's in our observation, or at least my observation, it really comes down to leadership that has to formulate and, how can I say, make sure that the entire organization understands that everybody's on the same path, the same purpose. We found in our dialogues with leadership, they all have their opinion, often opinion as opposed to fact. And because of that, they don't have a synchronized and a harmonized understanding of the overall goals and objectives, the plan, the vision, all those things. And if you individually blindly interview them, they're going to give you a different view of something, sometimes good, but obviously sometimes that might be in conflict with another leader. And if you don't have the entire executive or the entire team all on the same page, then you're going to get a bit of dysfunctionality and it might protract the outcome.
Great. Thank you, leadership. There's a comment here, Shauna, you're raising your hand.
Well, just because one of our discussion points sort of dovetails with that, I think that I raised the point about governance and Dino and Rabio sort of we discussed that a little bit, that I've just done a governance review of my strategy implementation portfolio because I was finding the rest of my executive team were just saying, you do it over there, Shona, and just, chuck things over the fence. So we did a governance review and changed things. And now the director of the team is the chair of the committee and everyone is, and we bring the vision there and we've everyone is bought into the vision and now is actively challenging things together, and then we agree and things are going forward. And between us, I think we came up with having a common purpose, because we also discussed our IT team. My IT team purpose is cost, and I'm working on value. But so common purpose, governance, and roles and structure, and the right balance in governance and collaboration is needed, and we're trying to get there and trying to help. So I think governance, deciding who are the decision makers and their role and to fulfill the purpose has been helping.
Thank you. Great point, Shona.
Sorry, anyone else, Dino or Rebeo, if you want to?
Yeah, I wanted to say, anybody in group 5? Dino, Rebea?
Well, I simply wanted to, well, I still have a doubt. It's a dilemma. The right amount of governance not to hamper collaboration. So I agree on everything that Shona pointed out, value of having a common purpose and governance. But in my organization, there is this dilemma: how much governance we should deploy that doesn't hamper the required collaboration to build the capabilities for the strategy.
Good point.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me go to group number 2 with Daniel, Joe, and Olga. Nice.
Sure. Yeah, it was a very good discussion, interesting, because Olga's from the for-profit world and Daniel's from the government world, and highly focused on infrastructure projects. And Olga and I have the same issues on execution from the consulting firm's perspective. But the thing is, we talked was the messaging and the communications, especially in the large multi-tiered firms, was an issue that Olga brought up. And Daniel, well, relatively new to the position, I think he's got an understanding about what the execs are looking for in terms of, is that tunnel project on time and on budget? That's what they're looking for. And so Olga, Daniel, anything else you want to add to that?
I think it was a perfect summary, Joe. Thank you.
Oh, that was great.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Joe and team. Let me, I was thinking while you were talking is that, okay, we say 30% success only, but maybe in strategy implementation, the target is not 100%, right? Or is the target 100%? Because we do want to fail in some areas. So what would be the right target? Is it 50%? Is it 60%? Maybe it will look less bad, but just, I don't know the answer. I'm just thinking while we're speaking. So just throw that there for maybe the next breakout, but just wanted to share that. What's the right number? And I doubt it will be 100%. Anyway, I go to the next group. Jose, Info. You want to speak, Jose, or?
Sure.
Hello, Antonio.
Hi to everyone there. We had the discussion, and it was interesting that all that participated were from very distant parts of the world, and we were all experiencing and looking at the same kind of situation, like not good planning, not the right strategy vision. In my case in particular, I pointed out that I've noticed lately in two implementations that companies were working with, that the leader is not walking the talk. He's establishing what he visualizes is the strategy he wants for his company, but that's in his mind. And even though he speaks out about it and agrees with the plan, in his heart, he's not really committed to that strategy. Thus, it's been very difficult, the implementation, because we go one step forward and three back every time he steps in and try to change things. So the leader not walking the talk, it's really something that me personally need to address and try to get very educated in dealing with that situation, because it's bringing me very nice headaches.
There's a simple answer, right?
Yeah, change the leader.
Fire.
Well, you know what? Take the leader outside of the building and walk them around the building and have a heart-to-heart conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Just say, hey, I'd like to bring you up to date and what's going on and get your view and your thought, and just have that conversation, but don't do it in the building or in the area, in the environment. Do it outside. Called walking around the building.
Good point.
It might work.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jose. Let's go to the last group. We had Alan, Gite, Sylvia, also great team there. Who wants to share?
Hi everyone, and thanks for having me. I would just kind of talk about one point, and I think I'll pass on to Alan and Sylvia to just to give their own views, because I thought we had different views, which were really interesting. I think from my perspective, I felt that, I mean, some of the things that we highlighted has already been mentioned, like governance and leadership and communication, not having a proper communication strategy. I feel that the communication plan and strategy from a planning perspective and from an execution perspective are two different elements. And it needs to be looked at from an organization perspective, the best way to really cascade that information. And then the second thing quickly for me is around the current analysis of understanding where they are, where we need to go and how we need to get there. I feel that a lot of organizations fail to do this, because when you look at it from a planning perspective, I did some consulting work with the NHS. It's very difficult to really understand what exists, right? We need to have a good understanding of what exists, right? What exists that's going to remain, and we're going to kind of align that to the new plan. What exists that needs to change. Again, there's another huge focus on that. And then the third element is what does not exist at all, that is entirely new, that we need to bring into the plan. So those three categories are not really looked at. And I feel that from an organization perspective is quite important. But thank you all for your time. Apologies, I have to drop off now, but that's a key point for me. I'll pass it on to Alan.
Thank you, Gita.
Thanks, Gita. Well, I'll say what really stands out for me from my observations is the impact of the big consulting firms on strategy implementation. I hope I'm not stepping on anyone's toes here, but really and truly, a lot of those firms are more specialized in planning. And even though they may leave, let's say, templates with the clients, after they completed the planning stage, they may not perform the periodic monitoring for whatever reason, that to ensure that their client is performing as expected. So essentially, you're throwing them a life jacket, and yeah, we'll pick you up in the next 5 years, right? So that's I think there's an impact there, and maybe some sort of investigation might be worthwhile from that perspective.
Thank you, Alan.
We brought consultants in to do a business architecture review to develop the strategy and deliver. And this is almost impossible. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but we made it no commitment contract, and it has to wash its face. So it has to actually, so they have to make their own money back for us.
Well done.
It's
Ouch.
very, very,
Ouch.
very challenging. But they have to deliver, and they have to, the business cases have to demonstrate it, and then they have to actually deliver it.
That's
And
good.
I'm not saying it's successful yet at all.
It's the way to do it. Exactly. Thank you, Anna and Shona. Let's go to the second topic. Let me bring quickly the slide here I had in mind. It's the poll for this month that I put here. So where are we here? Prioritization at the strategic and operational level is often the difference between success and failure. But many organizations do it badly. So maybe I was thinking, if we're talking about better implementation, maybe it needs to be linked to better prioritization, which is linked to communication, focus, discipline, and all these things. So I just thought that we could have a talk on that, and how do you do it in your organization or the companies you work? How do you prioritize? Do you have any best practice, or is it still a very challenging exercise? I just have so many requests nowadays from senior leaders. This is not project managers or PMO who say, listen, Antonio, I don't even know how many projects we have. Or they tell me the other day, we have 1,200 strategic initiatives. I was saying, how can you have 1,200 strategic initiatives, right? So I think maybe there is something to explore further. I'm a big fan, of course, on all these topics. So what I'm going to do is put this link in the chat for everybody to vote and see what's going on. But I thought this is an interesting and relevant topic. You want same breakout rooms, or we shuffle? I was thinking shuffling again, so we meet other people. So if that's okay, I'll just shuffle and you meet other people. The same, we'll take about 10 minutes, 11 minutes to discuss the topic. How do you prioritize? Have you do it right? Do you know any company that does it right? What are the best practices here? Is that so? Recreate and recreating. I'll have 4 groups. I think a few people didn't join, so we have a bit more. And I think they're different this time. So you'll get together with other people. Okay, I'm going to open this right now, and we should be able to go to 10 minutes discussion, and I'll see you in a second. Open all rooms. Welcome back. Welcome back. Let's hear what you discuss around prioritization linked to strategy, implementation, and success. So curious to hear that. I have group number 4 here: Aníbal, Olga, Silvia, Sola. Who wants to talk? Aníbal?
Olga, can you go for us? Group 4.
Olga?
Hello, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Sorry about that. I was distracted by the doorbell, so apologies. So yes, it was very interesting discussion, actually. So in my group, it was Silvia, Anibal, Sola, and we talked about the challenges, which so what we found is a few things that are in common, that there is a lot of change constantly. And the pace of change, actually internally, the restructuring that happens, especially in some companies, sometimes the pace is too fast. As in, Anbal mentioned that in his company, there is a restructuring every 6 months. So that means that the minute that there is restructuring, leadership changes, new kind of strategy. So, and Sylvia also mentioned about the disconnect that there is there in terms of the strategic and the operational side. And people seem to have some rather unrealistic expectations, if you like, about how change can be implemented. And there is a kind of expectation that change is just bam, bam, something can be done overnight, but it does take time. So in some respects, I think I personally, at least, I felt I felt I was not alone in my challenges, if that makes sense. So, but Hannibal, Sol, and Sylvia, did I miss anything?
No, I think you covers everything.
Yeah, well said. Well said.
Nice. Well done. Okay, let me go to the next group. We had Joe, Daniel, Rabia, Batuya. Who wants to go? Daniel? Just
I think you're on mute, Joe.
Yeah,
Sorry.
sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
a good span of geographic distribution between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Mongolia, and Australia. And Daniel's got these major infrastructure projects, and Rabia is on a foresight or a priority for hydrogen generation, and Batuya's projects very similar to this infrastructure side of things in Mongolia. As far as prioritization and hearing about prioritization from the leaders, it was interesting. I think that they were all realists in that they need, when leaders talk about the projects, they know that there's change involved, and sometimes that can be rapid. And then the other thing I brought up was, are they putting down a statement about benefits early on, even in the scoping and chartering process, and measuring it throughout the project. And I think there was a lot of reaction to that business about the benefits analysis going forward. Rabia, Batuya, Daniel, anything else?
Yeah, we had a comment on the benefits analysis that can sometimes be affected by the change of the stakeholder of who the benefits should be presented to. And with some projects, different type of stakeholders will be involved, whether it's the owner of the project or the investor or the potential partners, let's say. So that's also another comment that we had discussed in the close meeting.
Thank you. Very interesting projects. Interesting. Let me go to the next group. Alan, Dino, Jose, Wayne.
Shall I go first, Wayne?
Sure.
Well, we touched upon the key role of leadership to be successful in strategy implementation. So we are probably aiming at poor leadership for the reason of failed attempts. We also mentioned the need to map the strategy with the value streams and the organization responsible for the value streams, so that with that visibility, that empowerment, the implementation will have a smoother path to success. Mm-hmm. And another point was the possible situation in which an organization doesn't have its house in order to be ready to embrace a new strategy and its implementation. For example, brittle capabilities, or capabilities not properly defined, or lots of architectural gaps that could hamper the effort to implement a new strategy. Wayne, Jose, was that a fair summary?
I think that's bang on. That was perfect. Yeah.
Well done. Thank you, Dino, and the team. And the last group, I think we had Shona, Chris, Roy. What are your views?
Shona, go ahead.
Oh, I thought I was going to say, Chris, go ahead.
I beat you to it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, probably more operational level than strategy implementation, but you've got to get there sometime. we have actually just developed a prioritization tool that in the business cases of projects has criteria against deliverability and strategic alignment. And we put circles on a 2x2 matrix, and they are sized. The size of the circles are by cost, which Chris correctly pointed out contradicts what I just talked about, value and cost. But I have worked out the reason we do it by cost is because that is our IT purpose and it's their constraint. But I will consider, I've written it down, I will consider if we can change those to value, because I quite like that idea. And when we've got new projects, we put them on there to see where they are in the prioritization compared to the existing ones. So we're just trying it, like the other things I said, and it's working quite well. And we also have the second layer of management. There's 15 of them in it. Our team is about 200, and we've got 15 of the second tier of management. They form what we call the impact group. So they, before the transformation board each month, they meet to discuss the people impact. We use and abuse our team quite a lot on transformation, as well as their BAU activities. And if they say the capacity is not enough or it's too much of a stretch for the team, they have the power to make that recommendation to the transformation board, who make that decision based on people, not just investment. So I think there's a number of things we can pull into prioritization, not just financial value. Sorry, that's all me. So the rest of the team can, Chris and Ray can talk about their things if they want to add into it.
It was a good summary.
I think only for me, it was just to add that I think when we talk about timing prioritization across units, I think there's a...
yeah, you did, yes, correct.
I don't think it's really a valid consideration, because I think we're seeing much more that we can't afford to implement strategy by units. Very much we have to spread it across, and we have to get integration. And the speed of change means that we can't go through this old cascade process of starting at the top and rolling it down. That really doesn't work anymore. So we need to have a different approach.
I found the conversation to be really important, interesting, and very relevant for where I am. Certainly prioritization is a challenge, and it's also, I think it's a process, like getting there. I don't know what it looks like, but I know I'm somewhere on that journey. So it was a great topic to discuss.
Great. Thank you for the feedback and the discussion. It was very useful to have the talk. And as you can see, the next meeting is going to happen on the 5th of July, Singapore time. So this is quite early for many of us, but just to balance a bit. So if you can make it, great. Otherwise, it will be recorded and we can watch it later. So with that, just want to thank you, finish on time, and we'll keep in touch. Thank you very much. Stay well.
Good day, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Antonio and all.
Thank you, Antonio. Good day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for being, Joe.